On y va? Buonasera di tutti. Welcome for this speech. Thank you for coming. A.J. Wells just created a wonderful machine, which was the time machine. Let me talk about it, and let me speak about our time machine, which is the Osmotec. You may not know what is the Osmotec, but it's a wonderful machine to come back in the past. The Osmotec have been created by passionate perfumer 35 years ago, and by a group of perfumers under the supervision of Jean Kerléo, the former perfumer of Jean Patou. And the principle of the Osmotec was very simple: how to smell fragrances that we are talking all the time when they are not on the market anymore. For that reason, we reweighting some fragrances based on the original formula and creating a collection. At the moment, we do have almost 6,000 different fragrances, but what is very important is within these 6,000 different fragrances, we do have 1,000 which are not anymore on the market. These are very important to understand how is our business, how his business is raising, how his business is evolving. This collection is the base of our mission, but it's not only the only mission that we have. We have a second mission, which is the transmission. We are organizing almost 100 events every year, and especially we did create a very specific kind of lecture, which is the olfactive lectures. Lectures about specific topics and illustrated by fragrances, by olfactive section. This 100 events is open to everybody, professional for sure, but also general public. And the third mission is, which is also very important, is research. We did create a scientific committee 4 years ago, and this scientific committee is doing a lot of research about general things and of very various topics. Could be history, philosophy, and of course chemistry, scientific approach, everything concerning olfaction and perfume. But today I will let this charmant lady speaking about perfume and fashion. Please let me introduce Madame Lefebvre and Madame Bacouche. Thank you.
So, hello everyone. We're very happy to welcome you for this talk, and we'll dive into the subject immediately. As you know, time flies, and we did a selection of beautiful things to tell you and to make you smell. So, just to do a quick introduction, the very first connection that has existed between fashion and textiles takes us back to scented gloves, of course, as you know, back to the 16th century when Catherine de Médicis arrived in France together with her personal perfumer, René Le Florentin. And it's a combination of trade and professionalism that gained in prestige with the introduction by Louis XIII of the title of Master Glove Maker and Perfumer. But then after this, it's not until quite a relatively late period in the history of perfume that fashion designers began offering fragrances in the image of their fragrance houses. We are at the beginning of the 20th century, a time when haute couture and perfumery are experiencing significant expansion. It's the moment marked by the birth of what we call modern perfumery, and also the use of the first, well, not really the first, but the new ingredients and new molecules that have been patented since quite a few decades already. So how fragrance style evolved in harmony. Let them tell us the boldness, the dreams, and the transformations of society, actually, that occurred during this beautiful era. We have selected a few key figures of this growing alliance between fashion and perfume, and 5 iconic fragrances, which we have the huge privilege to smell in their original versions, thanks to the work of Osmotek. And we are fortunate enough to invite you to smell a few more at the beautiful exhibition of Osmotek here in Aix-en-Provence. We will guide you through them throughout the conference.
Let's start our journey during actually the shared perspective between the story of fragrances, sorry, yes, I'm too small, fragrances and fashion, because those two stories are very connected, linked. And we are starting from Belle Époque to eve of World War II, because actually in this period, it's starting to be the emancipation of women, modernity, and we will see a big gap shift in the fragrance creation. So in terms of fashion, there is the liberation of the woman, the body are more free with the new fashion. It's rise, the golden age of couture. So what is interesting is that actually before this period, women were really dressing like in a classical way, either very design and restricted in the look that they had. And suddenly something amazing is appearing, is that we are liberating the body thanks to the first pioneer of this new adventure of fashion, Paul Poiret. And then, of course, with Chanel and a new way of seeing the fashion, bringing some material from the men lifestyle fashion industry into her own fashion. Then we have the Jean Patou inspiration and the fact that is moving and switching also the fashion into spotlight. All that has really an impact in the fragrance industry. So let's start maybe with Paul Poiret.
Well, so we will guide you through this first period. Who saw all these fashion designers? Of course, it's a selection, as I told you. And let's dive into this universe with, of course, Paul Poiret, known as Le Magnifique, who was passionate about fashion, but also about theater. He has really led the foundation for the couturier perfumer with his collection of perfume named Les Parfums de Rosine, named after his eldest daughter. The idea of creating his own line of perfumes is said to have come to his mind after this grand soirée that was named La 1002e Nuit, like the 1002nd night. Paul Poiret has always been very inspired by Orient, and during this great party, the event was decorated in the style of Persian tapestries, with Oriental dancers, scented fumigations, blue and golden fireworks. He even had some parrots and monkeys who were frightened by the fireworks and were supposedly found the day after on the Champs-Élysées because they escaped from the party. It is clear that Paul Poiret loved extravagance. I do not preach economy, I speak only of elegance. That's a phrase from him. The king of fashion, as he was nicknamed after his triumphant tour in the US in 1913, he really had set the tone. We see in this grand couturier, he has been the first one really to dare free the women from the corsets and bring a lot of light, beautiful colors and very fluid fabrics. What we can admire in this picture is his wife and this famous robe sorbet, this sorbet dress. So he really wanted a collection of perfume that would harmonize with his style in his collection. And so he first partnered with Maurice Chaleur as a perfumer, and then followed by Henri Almeras. So now we will dive into the world of Poiret. Here are the few designs from him, the first jupe culotte, for example. And we will have the pleasure to smell, so this is the coffret that can be admired at the Osmothèque of Versailles, Les Parfums de Rosine. And I invite you to dive now into the first perfume we will share with you. Here's the list of all the Poiret perfume. As you can see, there's been a lot, some of them from Maurice Chaleur and some of them from Almeras. So the one that is being passed to you right now is this sublime Coupe d'Or. Coupe d'Or, as we can admire, also this very evolved packaging. Let's remember that we are at the beginning of the 20th century, that François Coty also settled the first brand of perfumes who have elaborated very elaborated bottles for Coty with Lalique, for example, in the theme of the fragrance. It's a kind of invention of the first marketing mix, actually. So Coupe d'Or that you're smelling right now is a perfume that we are very happy and proud to be able to make you smell as its original version. It's a quite simple composition. What's very noticeable in this perfume is the very pioneer use of aldehyde C12MNA, which is very much dosed for this time in the heart of a huge citrus top note. What you can smell immediately is the majority of top notes of bergamot, of lemon, of mandarin, before diving into a beautiful white floral accord, mainly on orange blossom, because you have petit grain, you have neroli, essential oil, and also orange blossom absolutes. And we find something quite oriental in the base with like the opoponax, vanillin, and of course this muscocétone, which we smell a lot in this period. So this is the first perfume we wanted to share with you. It's a very unique opportunity in the world to smell this first fragrance from Maurice Chaleur, Coupe d'Or from Les Parfums de Rosine. So in 1914 also the first launch of Le Fruit Défendu, which is always interesting to notice because as you can see, this shape of a bottle that more recalls an apple. It's named after the forbidden fruit, but the only fruity molecule that we had at the time was the aldehyde C14, which is a lactone, like peachy facet. So the scent is more peachy than appley, but it's quite funny to see this almost first fruity perfume on the market. And a third one that we would like to show you because you have the chance to be able to smell it at the Osmothèque exhibition here in Aix-en-Provence is this wonderful perfume Coup de Foudre, and I invite you to admire the bottle, strikingly modern at this time, and of course with highly geometric shapes inspired by one of Poiret design.
Of course, we cannot speak about this part of the fashion revolution without talking about Gabrielle Chanel, especially with. So she was a revolutionary woman in the fashion, but also in the fragrance. As you all know, of course, there is a collection of perfume, but number 5 was really a shift in the perfume industry. You have just smelled a pioneer fragrance using aldehyde with Paul Poiret. More than 10 years earlier. So what is kind of amazing with the Chanel number 5 is how is the link, the relation between the fashion, very épuré, épure, and the fragrance by itself, but also the bottle. Everything is minimalist, and this is a new revolution in all the fashion, following the trend that you can find in architecture, such as the Bauhaus, or in any other art scene. Chanel number 5, you know it all, so we are kindly asked you to rediscover it, but she was not, number 5 was not only a revolutionary from Chanel. What is amazing is also Cuir de Russie, which is an overdose of leathery note in a yes, we would call it unisex fragrance with this overdose of isobutylquinoline, etc. Or again, gardenia, which is kind of a very surprising fragrance that you can smell at the stand of Osmotek, because it's a floral bouquet that is really completely contemporary with rose, jasmine, of course, but an overdose of tuberose. And it's really surprising because it's really a timeless bouquet that you cannot imagine that had been created such a long time ago. Actually, fashion and elegance is really timeless regarding the spirit of Chanel.
So in the 30s, Jean Patou strengthened the trend. Jean Patou's fashion style is a perfect blend between elegance and practicality. He popularized sporty yet very sophisticated design, creating comfortable and very refined outfits. His style embodies effortless luxury. A nice image we can recall, he created the outfit for Susan Lenglen in 1921 for Wimbledon. This was really very new, of course, in the world of fashion designers. And in 1923, he created the Jean Patou Parfum branch with his brother-in-law, Raymond Barbas. In 1925, they were joined by the Grasse-based perfumer Henri Almeras, who had previously worked for Paul Poiret. We can admire here the Que sais-je, and it's always very interesting in the work we do in Osmotek to be conscious of the genealogy of the perfume, to understand the inspiration of the different perfumers who, of course, got a lot inspired from the work from the others. Que sais-je is a fruity chypre in the line of Le Fruit Défendu. And of course, I would mention Joy. How couldn't we talk about Joy? Joy is considered as the most luxurious and expensive perfume in the world. It's a sublime, outrageously expensive, like priceless bouquet of jasmine and roses that Patou wanted to create in. It was just after the stock market crash and many fortunes ruined, and he wanted to offer a beautiful gift to his most loyal clients. So yeah, sublime bouquet of mainly rose and jasmine, with originally the real use, massive use of real grass, jasmine, absolute. Yeah.
Jeanne Lanvin was not, so Jean Patou was not the only one using amazing ingredients in his fragrances. Jeanne Lanvin, when she was working with perfumer, always said, you know, when I'm creating or designing a dress or any fashion accessory, I'm using always the best fabrics, materials. So please do the same in your fragrance creation. So it is her with her child who inspired, and André Faïs was also one of the master perfumer she was working with. So in the long line of fragrances that she signed in collaboration with perfumer, there is one fragrance very interesting, which is Mycene. Actually, amazing by actually the name. Mycene was dedicated to woman, and a very strong woman, seduction and bewitching. This floral bouquet has an overdose on the back, on the base of animalic note, and we are very happy that you can smell it at the Osmotek, at our stand, because using real musk, amber, civet is something that is only the privilege of the Osmotek when we are rebuilding, actually, based on the formula that we have, those perfumes. So Mycene, so prémillénaire of really, yes, women that are bewitching man. Of course, Arpège is one of the masters, the one that everyone knows. This is a floral aldéique, aldehydic fragrances with an amazing, beautiful bottle. As you can see, the picture of Jeanne Lanvin and her daughter is really the transmission from a mother and care to a daughter, and this is really a love story.
Worth is really worth mentioning we're talking about, because we tend to forget that we owe to this fashion designer the real first fashion collections, actually, not just bespoke. So he was British, he arrived in France at the end of the 19th century, and he has been the first one to just create real fashion collections. So a true pioneer to haute couture. And let's just evoke so the collection of perfumes from Worth, and we have a beautiful perfume in Osmothèque also that is called Je Reviens, and Je Reviens was a phenomenon at the time because so as you can see, this bottle is in glass with a little full of little stars, and in frosted glass, was initially designed to host the perfume Dans la Nuit, but was finally used for Je Reviens. And this perfume brought a huge success to this house, of course, during World War II, when soldiers used to send this perfume to their sweethearts to embody the message, Je reviens, I will return. So this perfume at the time has become as popular as Chanel No. 5 or Bourjois Soir de Paris. In terms of scent, it's a very interesting work that Maurice Blanchet describes as a work he wanted to do on a very rare flower in perfumery, which is daffodil. Ah ben j'ai oublié. Pardon, j'allais faire la conclusion. I forgot that.
Okay. Honor to the Italian fashion designer Elsa Schiaparelli, which was so creative, bridging really art into a fashion design, but also creativity and amazing inspiration from any kind of art scene. So the most famous perfume from her that you are invited to smell now is Shocking, which was created in 1937. And the shape of this fragrance, of this bottle, is maybe a reminiscence of some bottles that you know that are existing on the market from other brands. But anyway, what I wanted to say about Shocking, what is a beautiful fragrance which has been created by Jean Carl, it's also a kind of a revolution, not only in terms of scents, but for the fragrance industry. This is one of the first perfume which actually was not created by an in-house perfumer. Jean Carl was belonging to Roure, and actually, in order to make it more accessible to develop fragrance for fashion brands, start the concept of externalization of the perfume. So Jean Carl was not only working for Elsa Schiaparelli, but for many other fashion and perfume brands into the creation. This chypre leathery fragrance is also really characteristic of the fashion that she was. It's an extension of this fashion. It's really the signature scent of a creative woman who is. Qui ose, who dares actually to be who she wants to be and the way she wants to be. So it's an homage to femininity and to women.
Here we are already at the end of this first period, and just to observe that this interwar period was a golden age of haute couture, with Paris as a global epicenter, actually. Now, on the eve and on the eve of World War II, fashion and perfume have already become almost inseparable symbols of style, and laying the foundation, of course, for the great houses that we know today. So let's dive into the second period that we chose for you, and beautiful designers.
So we are following the big fashion trends, and of course, we are going from the post-war rebirth actually of the fashion and the fragrance to the golden age of haute couture from 1945 to the late 50s. So some major actors of this fashion world related with the fragrances that have crossed all the decades and were bestseller and still are for some of them available nowadays on the market. We can name Marcel Rochas, Pierre Balmain, Piguet, Carven, Nina Ricci, Fat, etc. What is really interesting actually is just after World War II, there was really yes, it was the diet period during the war. There was no fabrics. Everything was really minimalist in terms of fashion. So how could fashion Paris re-become the hearth and the epicenter of the fashion industry? We can thank Christian Dior with his new look, which made really a revolution. Also, what is interesting after World War II is that actually there was really a big emancipation of women, and we cannot forget the Germaine Cellier, who actually, as a woman, she was really maybe, yes, we can say, the first woman perfumer recognized publicly in the industry. And she created amazing fragrances just end of the war, beginning of the war, like Balmain, for Balmain, with Vent Vert, an homage of the Renaissance, the rebirth, an overdose of green note to really underline and to make people vibrate this new age of freedom that was arriving after the war. So Vent Vert is her first big creation that has crossed all the century, but she created also amazing fragrances for
the transition, Piguet. So Piguet, it's interesting to say that Piguet was a former designer for Paul Poiret. He used to work for Paul Poiret before, again. And after when he launched his own maison, he invented a youthful fashion, actually, that matched a new lifestyle and achieved really immediate success. And yes, Germaine Cellier is really worth paying a tribute to her. She was a free-spirit woman in every sense. She really, for her, perfume is a gift, has no rules. And for her, perfumery cannot be learned, actually. And we can observe and admire how she maintained her independence even in her style, and in creating perfumes like a painter, bold, square, quite raw actually. And the interpretation we chose today is just the fracas. Fracas is the first great Soliflore single floral tuberose. It has an outrageous proportion of natural notes, tuberose, but also orange blossom and jasmine, and an overdose also of lactones, as we like these false aldehydes, C14 and C18. And anthranyl dimethyl, and I mean the play and the overdoses of ingredients are impressive and create this fracas, well named. C'est moi. I stay with you. Let's keep going on this beautiful 20th century with, of course, Christian Dior. Iconic, elegant, luxurious. He revolutionized, of course, the style and fashion with the introduction of the famous New Look, as it has been named in 1947. Characterized by rounded shoulders, short, narrow waist, and like full skirt that would really emphasize femininity. So it's a return to opulence and sophistication after World War II, of course, and yes, indeed, helped also, of course, Paris to become again the epicenter of the world fashion. So Dior is it's a celebration of the female, of the feminine forms of the femininity. I wanted to evoke, together with you, we chose to talk to you about Miss Dior, because Miss Dior was launched together with actually this amazing New Look collection in 1947. Thanks to his friend Serge Effler-Louis, Christian Dior introduced the perfume Miss Dior at the same time. And a few words also on Diorissimo, masterpiece by Master Edmond Rudnicka, because this perfume is a very good example it perfectly embodies the fruitful exchange that could occur between a couturier and a perfumer. So here, Christian Dior and Edmond Rudnicka. They share their passion really for Lily of the Valley first, but also a common passion, a common vision of style in their craft. So this is a very, of course, beautiful creation, the first true Lily of the Valley, for which Edmond Rudnicka had planted a small patch in this in his garden in Arrêt Parfum, a patch of Lily of the Valley that still exists today, in which he used to sit for hours to smell the evolution of the perfume of Lily of the Valley from dawn to sunset.
Marcel Rochas was renowned for his innovation and elegant design, combining modernity and femininity, and playing a lot with, actually, we will go directly to Femme de Rochas, to the shape. He became very successful with one silhouette called the mermaid silhouette, a very tiny waist, underlining the shapes of the woman that you can actually see in this bottle. Marcel Rochas worked also with Edmond Rudnicka, a master perfumer in the perfumery. And what is also interesting with Edmond Rudnicka is that he was always an independent perfumer, really preaching for the craftsmanship and the art of the perfumery. And this is why he became also so famous and with amazing collaboration with designers at that time, because they had the same inspiration and easy to understand. So in order to underline this idea of the mermaid silhouette with Femme de Rochas, Edmond Rudnicka played with the Chypre fruity fragrance with an overdose of sensual note, animal, but also an overdose of cumin, which make it very unique, and prunol, which is really a divine fragrance that first is kind of discreet, but then on the skin develops in an amazing way. But the craftsmanship of Edmond Rudnicka is also very incredible, because it's jumping from one olfactory universe to the other, and you can smell with the fougère fragrance called Moustache, how easy for him it was to play with ingredients and making people diving from one universe to the other. So Moustache, yes, in homage to the moustache, which was really trendy in the late 40s, to the men. And I think, oh, no, Caravan is still me. Caravan is still me. So also during this period, an interesting fashion designer is Carmen De Tomaso, and you know her fashion under the name of Carven. She was really a special in a world, because she became very famous because she designed fashion for petite women compared to all the other designers, Dior, Rochas, etc., who were really inspired by tall women. And actually, reality is that actually we are not like you, all very, very tall. Yeah, yes. But yes, so she make this fashion, haute couture, slightly more accessible to a more normal, classical petite woman, which make her very famous. And there were two colors who was really signature for a brand, which were the green and the white, that you can see on the label of this Carven Magrif. And she played with the Chypre Floral Aleidic fragrance, which became actually her signature scent. We can see through all the examples that we have been through until now is that actually fragrance become a fashion accessory, which will become more and more very signature scent of each brand, and there is always one or two masterpieces of each fragrance. Of course, another one that we cannot mention is just Vetiver from Carven. Actually, she was the pioneer to launch a Vetiver. Vetiver from Carven is a woody overdose homage of the Vetiver with a citrus top note, which really inspired all the Vetiver that came on the market after, such as Vetiver from Guerlain and all then the other one. With the master perfumer, Edouard H., who created it. Yes, the publicity was quite politically not correct nowadays.
A few words on Maria Adelaide Agnelli. Nina Ricci. Nina Ricci, elegant, delicate. How can we summarize Nina Ricci? With her romantic style, she really always designed very graceful, elegant clothes and very, very soft and fluid silhouettes. Once again, her work was very, very delicate. She liked to intricate, very details like in floral motifs or embroidery, and the idea is really to get something extremely youthful, refined yet classic and classy, of course. A real sense of modern sophistication in French couture. Of course, we will show you L'Air du Temps. The house Nina Ricci settled in 1932 in Rue des Capucines, and with the help and the work of her son, actually, Robert Ricci, she launched the first fragrance. The first one was Cœur Joie. And then has been followed by this creation by Francis Fabron, 1947, of course, right after the Second World War, with these beautiful peace doves created first by Juan Reboul and later Marc Lalique for this tremendous work around carnation, as it is well known.
Christophe Balenciaga was also one of the most famous haute couture fashion designer, renowned for its architectural haute couture. So sorry, there are some words that are very difficult for me to pronounce. I'm sorry, I'm not English, I'm only French. Anyway, this silhouette was really going back to the haute couture, and one of the most well-known fragrance, Le 10, from Balenciaga, was a floral ladies, really trendy at that time, but also the 10 is an homage to the address of his Parisian shop, where he became very famous in France, actually, and it was the boutique was in 10 avenue Georges V, pardon. Flatting moment from Les Fuites des Heures is also a floral bouquet, which is really in line with this amazing conceptual and masterpiece of his fashion. You could not, a woman wearing a Balenciaga dress, you was becoming the spot in the evening. Hubert de Givenchy, c'est toi? And then,
yes, I know, once again, time is running. Just to mention Hubert de Givenchy, of course, with his very refined, elegant, timeless fashion. Clean lines, graceful silhouettes. Of course, he's very renowned for the iconic looks he created for Audrey Hepburn. And his approach of fashion remains really synonymous of here to timeless luxury. We've selected just L'Interdit to show you, because this perfume that you will maybe have an opportunity to find to smell in Osmothèque has an amazing work on green notes, which will become quite a trend after this. Now, just last minutes, we just dive into we're gonna have some quick words about the designers and this last period, and we have 2 more very precious perfumes to share with you.
So, the cultural revolution and opulence of and minimalism from the 60s to the 90s. The big fashion revolution in the 60s is that we are going from haute couture actually to ready-to-wear fashion. From one example, very famous, Yves Saint Laurent, when he launched actually his own ready-to-wear collection and helped to play a little bit with the more miniskirt, unisex, playing with the twisting masculine code with the tuxedo in a woman way, etc. So the 60s are very interesting in terms of revolution of fashion, but also in terms of scent, because we are going and diving into a more floral, fresh, citrus, slightly vibrant, light olfactory universe, and fragrance are becoming like fashion accessory, which means that you can zap from one fragrance to another, which was not really the case before. And these trends will go more and more through all this period. So, Yves Saint Laurent, Paco Rabanne, Revolution, Karl Lagerfeld, Cacharel, etc. But I think we will go step by step close into this world. So, steps, you go with
We'll
the...
go there.
So, Saint Laurent.
We cannot not mention Saint Laurent, of course, so elegant, so sophisticated, of course. We will remember his classic tailoring for women, of course, the very bold contrasts, such, as you said, like the iconic tuxedo for women, really a focus both on femininity and on androgyny. We show you here, oh sorry, we were on Y, sorry, I was in Yves Saint Laurent, so just a quick word on Y, which is a beautiful chypre fruity. Again, the 20th century is full of beautiful chypre, created by Michel E. And opium, of course, which is really a turning point in perfumery. It's interesting to remember that Estée Lauder in 1953 had launched her Youth Dew, who really, let's say, set the pace for the new very strong American perfumery, and Europe would echo to it with opium. The launch marks a turning point, really, in the world of perfumes. As Michael Edwards say, it's a perfect synergy between the name, the bottle designed by Pierre Dinant, the price, and the advertising. As a result, huge success. 1 billion bottles of opium were bought in 30 years. So I could talk a lot about Paco Rabanne. It's a very interesting house. Just the key things about him: he grew up actually in a very modest family. He grew up in the Basque. Francisco Rabanne da Cuervo was his name. His mother used to work for Balenciaga, and he dreamed of independence. He have always dreamed of creating his own fashion house. He used to work for Cardin and Givenchy first, and he has always been passionate about constructivism and science fiction in general. He used to say, "Architecture allowed me to explore clothing in a new way. For me, fashion was therefore a great way to create an event to provoke a shock. All the great artists of the time worked with metal. That is why inspired me to create my first collection in February 1966. 12 unwearable dresses made of contemporary materials." And this leads us to Calandre, because Calandre is, so he partnered with Puig and launched his first perfumes. And he said, "My first fragrance was released in 1969. Not only was it a fresh new approach, but it also represented an ideal way to make my creativity accessible to the great number of people." He was talking about Calandre. And his bewildering sillage. He wanted a perfume so avant-garde that it would be shocking. He went to see Pierre Dinant for the bottle and told him, "For me, a perfume is a man and a woman making love in a car." So Pierre Dinant told him it was slightly difficult to interpret precisely this in a bottle, but as a result, they adopted the car's grille, the calandre, that inspired the bottle and the name. And in terms of scents, we have the first most metallic rose that had ever been created, of course, in line with Paco Rabanne style, and the first use of Evernil. Pour un homme is very important also in the world of fougère. In 1973, Jean Martel answered the wish, the dream of Paco Rabanne to launch a breathtaking fragrance. And this is a perfect execution of the fougère structure, who already had at the time almost 1 century, from the Fougère Royale of Paul Parquet for Houbigant 1884. And so this is a beautiful perfume hosted in a very masculine bottle, inspired by the whiskey flask, where we will find all this, of course, aromatic freshness, together with this geranium heart and this woody coumarin base, with the originality of slight leathery touch and even honey facets a little bit. Couldn't say less. Geoffrey Beene, I stay with you for the pleasure to smell this amazing gray flannel that I was really happy to be able to choose. Thank you to Osmotek. Innovative, minimalist, modern. Geoffrey Beene loved clean, sculptural lines. He paid a lot of attention to details. He used to experiment asymmetry and volume. So he was recognized for making fashion both wearable and artistic, actually. And also for his intellectual approach to design. And gray flannel is a wonderful new approach on the violet leaves, actually, and their leathery facets. It's a work that will after inspire Fahrenheit, and it's a beautiful floral in the end, but leathery, woody perfume that and this was very original at the time, that he introduced and that he presented, inspired by what Balmain had done for Monsieur Balmain in these flannel pochettes as a packaging.
Cacharel, of course, Cacharel, interesting as a fashion brand because it's a floral, light, easy to wear for a jeune fille. Actually, his fashion was really dedicated to that. And Anaïs Anaïs was created completely in line with this idea, this fashion. A floral bouquet, very fresh, very green, very beautifully light at first smell, but actually that stay quite longer on the skin. It was the first kind of mass market product launched initially, yes, they realized that selling fragrances in supermarket or not in perfumery was not really easy. It was maybe too avant-gardist at that time, and they put it back actually in the classical fragrance distribution. To come back to this amazing fragrance, I think there is lots of women now from my age who maybe wore this Anaïs Anaïs when they were teenagers, so it's just a little souvenir of our youth.
Very quick words, but Thierry Mugler really had to be mentioned during this talk. Thierry Mugler, bold, dramatic avant-garde, of course known for his sharp, very architectural, that's a hard one, you're right, architectural silhouettes. And very exaggerated proportions. So that's it. A future and many futuristic elements also, with always, of course, a huge sense of sensuality. The idea is that the woman really exudes confidence and power. So of course, the incarnation of what I just said is found in Angel. Well acquainted today with the legend of Angel. a bold composition that was very avant-garde, as desired, and a composition flawlessly executed by Master Olivier Cresp that enhances the use at this time of ethyl maltol, which at this time was massive, considered massive in this fragrance, but also in a very complex, more complex than we think, composition with a chocolate and fruitiness and a base of patchouli.
So, click, clack, clock. We have to go from the overdose of the Mugler fragrance. We are going and diving to the minimalism period of the 90s with Kenzo pour Homme, for example, but also Issey Miyake, L'Odyssée. Calvin Klein, owner of the unisex androgyne fragrance, clean line, amazing.
Would embrace a generation.
The last one to smell, actually, the Gautier that you know. Sorry, we have to go fast. And we just wanted to make a final smell with Gucci. We are presenting it through his art director, Tom Ford, actually, who made alive again the Gucci house in the 90s with his porno chic, amazing communication look from fashion that are completely different from what was in the 90s at that time. And to close the century of the fragrance, we wanted to re-smell Rush, which was really chypre fruity, very sensual, opulent, completely in line with all the fashion look and fashion year of Tom Ford in this fragrance house. So now is the evolution of from fashion to fragrances, from designer owning their own name to also art director. And yes, to summarize this amazing century, we just wanted to say that actually, as we all know, fashion is an eternal cycle, such as fragrance. So going back to our history will help you, is always helping us to understand what is happening today, but also to maybe have an idea of what will come later on in the future trends. Voilà. Merci.
I told you that you would have a wonderful journey. Look at, in only a few minutes, you had 1 century of story that you have seen in front of you. Of course, it would be much longer, but unfortunately, we had only that time. Now, I would like to speak again about the Osmotec. The Osmotec is a non-profit association, and for that, I encourage you to help us and to go on our website and to follow us. We do also some online lectures, and you are most than welcome to follow us all the time. Thank you very much for your presence, and if you have any questions, feel free. Thank you. Bye-bye.